Why do you think people are waiting longer to get married and have kids? We broke, duh. How am I gonna have a kid when I got 4 roommates and I'm already 30 years old? Marriage and children are both expensive. I'm trying to afford taking care of myself before adding a kid to the equation. To be more financially stable. You wanted college education. You are on your own. Pay debt. You are not society's responsibility. Quote, can't get stable high-paying job? Why didn't you go to college? Bum? You want society to bail you out? Quote, why are you not having kids? Society needs younger generations to support older ones. Quote, broke, busy, and involuntary bachelor, ets. Less traditional pressure to marry. Have kids. Family people have options now. Older generations pounded it into our skulls to never have a kid you can't afford, so we're not. People are much more open and realistic when talking about what parenting is truly like. It has pulled those on the fence that would likely not have been living their best life as parents and would likely have regrets, resentment, down to reality, and that it might do the opposite of making us happy. It's a more educated choice now that doesn't cause you to instantly be a social outcast if you don't have kids. In the Western world at least. I'm a child-free millennial. And I love kids. I think they're the funniest, most wonderful people around. Doesn't mean I want to live with and likely be the default parent for one. I waited to be financially stable enough before thinking of kids. Just found out I waited too late and can't have them. So I guess that's that. I could adopt. But at this point I've worked so hard to get financially stable that I'm ready to enjoy it some. For me it just never happened. Never met the right person and there was no way I would do it on my own. Now it's too late anyway. 48F. And I look at my peers' marriages falling apart and what their kids are having to deal with. Social media being the least of it. And I'm kind of glad I didn't bring any into this world. My mortgage is paid off. I'm debt-free. I can spend my money on myself. The answer is dependent upon on which country and what stage of development that country is in. In rural areas and developing nations, kids are a benefit as they help make money. In urban areas and developed nations, kids are a huge expense, liability. Also, individual nations have their particularities driven by social work norms, for example in nations like the US where employers expect people to prioritize a career over family, and with government with little support, protection for families. It's damn hard to have time for anything, let alone a wife and kids. Adulthood has been shifting towards older age for a long time. People used to be considered adults at 15 or so. Now many people stay in school well until their 30s. Also, emancipation of women. A good thing actually. Gestures broadly at the state of the world. That and money. Millennials are on the older edge of childbirth. Gen Z is just entering. And both generations are horridly underpaid compared to previous generations, while everything costs substantially more, both due to corporate greed.
Money.
We broke! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! It's impossible to afford children on a single middle-class income. I'm 55 and was raised in a household where one parent, the father, went to work and the other stayed home. I can count on one hand the number of kids I knew whose mother worked outside the home. We were considered middle class. My father was a union tradesman. Just a few generations ago, women were mostly just wives and mothers. Now we have few limits. I loved going to school and grad school and then having an awesome career. And traveling and my hobbies. I wasn't in a rush to get married or have kids when there's so many other things I'd rather do first. So many people get married and have kids because it's the common, next step. More people these days are focusing on what works for them, either marrying and having kids later or not at all, rather than following society's expectations. Skyrocketing costs of everything. Higher expectations for supervision. Kids get cops called on them for walking to the park these days. Because it's expensive and kids are a pain in the ass. I chose not to have kids. I'm 54 years old now and very happy I didn't have kids. Barely able to look after myself. Why would I bring a child into that?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.